Alright, so now we've looked at modals, popovers, and tooltips. I'm going to challenge you to complete the setup of a reasonably complicated Bootstrap component, and that is ScrollSpy. So the object of this challenge is for you to put together everything that we've learned in the last few videos and find the information on the component, work out first off what it does, and then recreate that in your own HTML page. As always, if you have any problems, I'll go through the process after the pause. So good luck. Just got to find the information about ScrollSpy on the Bootstrap website and set it up in your bootstrap.html webpage. Good luck. All right. Did you manage it? I hope so. I'm going to get the information from here. So let's first off try and figure out what on earth ScrollSpy does. Generally speaking, an example is the best thing for it. The ScrollSpy plugin is automatically updating nav targets based on the scroll position. Okay, so if we scroll down this window, aha, you can see that it's moving along the nav bar at the top. Great. Okay, so hopefully that's something that you can see would be quite useful. One of the reasons that I chose the ScrollSpy plugin for you to attempt is that at the time of writing, there's no copy and paste code on the Bootstrap site. That may well be different for you, and if you were able to copy and paste it and get it working, absolutely fine. But we're going to try and figure it out how it works without just copying and pasting an example. Obviously, worth mentioning that we could view the page source and find the code and probably copy and paste that. But we'll attempt to do it another way just to show you how we could do it. So trying to figure out how on earth this plugin works. So we can see we're going to need a nav at the top, and then we're going to need some content, and somehow we need a way of connecting up the nav and the content. So let's start by putting a nav in. So we've got a link there to the Bootstrap nav component. Here we go. I think this inline one will do fine for us. So let's get rid of this script code because we don't need any of that. And also we don't need tether anymore either. And get rid of all of our code there. So let's put the nav in first off and just check that that's displaying correctly. There we go. Fine. And then let's go back and see how we're going to connect this up. So first off, we need to apply relative positioning to our body tag. So let's do that. So I'll do that with a inline style, or internal, sorry, style command. There we go. And then we apply the data spy and data target elements to our body tag. So that makes sense. We're setting up the body tag to be the thing that is spied on as we're scrolling, and we're setting up the navbar example div to be the thing that gets updated when the user is scrolling. So let's add an ID here to our nav. We might as well use the same one. And it looks to me like we'll need a UL with those classes, nav and nav tabs, with a role of tab list. So let's set up our links as LIs. There we go, and we'll just close those LIs after the links. All right, we'll just have a look, make sure it still looks like a nav. Oh, yep, great, we've lost our inline, but that's okay. And I think I'll get rid of the disabled one as well. Okay, so the question I'm wondering is how we connect up each of these links to its respective point on the page. Now this is looking like the answer. Navbar links must have resolvable ID targets. So we need a link that goes to an ID on the page, and then we need a div with that ID on the page. Okay, so that makes sense. I'll just put the names of the sections in. So I'll just go for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll have an H2 with an ID of 1, which will contain section 1. And then we'll have a div, and we'll get some good old lorem ipsum text in there to fill out our page. Lovely. And then we'll do the same for sections 2, 3, and 4, and then just go back and rename those. Section 3, 2, and one's already there. And one thing to note is that we will need the nav to be fixed. So I'm going to just change that to a nav bar with a default styling, and we'll make it fixed to the top. All right, fingers crossed. Let's have a look. All right, so it doesn't look great, but that's okay. Let's scroll down and see if we get the effect. There it is. So it is indeed updating. Our ScrollSpy is working. We could definitely do with a little bit of tidying up here though. So first off, let's give this a background so that it's not transparent, which is a bit confusing. And let's add the nav item class to our list, which should make everything go horizontal rather than vertical. Not that it really matters, but it's a little bit nicer as an example to work with that. Great, so you can see what our navbar tabs is doing there. It's styling it like tabs. All right, so we're pretty much done. I do want to just add a bit of a margin there to my section 1 so that it's not hidden behind the navigation. So let's just add a margin top of, let's try 70 pixels. There we go. That looks a lot better. And there is one final issue. If you see where it updates, in fact, to make it slightly clearer, I'll just change these to the correct numbers. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So section 2 is coming along, and it only changes when section 2 gets right to the top of the page, which is not necessarily what you want. It also, for us, causes a problem here because it never quite gets to section 4, because section 4 is almost at the top of the page, but not quite. But there's a nice easy way around that, and we can actually see it on the ScrollSpy Bootstrap page, that we have this data offset attribute that we can add, which is pixels to offset from the top when calculating position of scroll. So as we've just added a margin top of 70, let's add a data offset value of 70 as well. And we should find that this will give us a more sensible point of switching from one to the other. So let's have a look. So it's now switching to section 2 just there, which is great. That's when section 2 is at the top of the visible part of the screen, and then section 3 and section 4 as well. And of course we can click on the links to jump to the respective parts of the page as well. Alright, so I hope you managed that. In the next and final video of this section then, we'll be using everything that we've learned in the Bootstrap section of this course to put together a beautiful and functional app landing page.